It's 2025 and fans are asking, where's the amazing Tom Jones? The now 85-year-old singer from Wales who gave us It's Not Unusual and What's News. Pussycat has lived through 60 years of being famous, changing himself, and big surprises. But behind all the bright lights is a story of deep love and heartbreaking sadness, and through it all this star is still trying his best to keep his promise to his dear wife Linda. So, let's find out exactly what this promise is, how he's keeping it, and the surprising way he's staying popular in 2025. Tom Jones was born in the 1940s, the newest baby in Treforest, Pontypridd, South Wales, named Thomas Jones Woodward. Tom had been born in early June, and at this time his country was having a hard time because of war, and the mess that was eating up money and supplies very fast. Life was hard, and money was always tight. Tom's father, also named Thomas, worked way down underground in the scary coal mines. His mother, Frida, stayed at home, doing her best to take care of Tom and keep the family going. They lived in a small house on Laura Street. Their home was cold, warmed only by a small coal fire. Tom wore old clothes with patches, and the family often had to make do with what little they had to get by. Even though their hometown was often filled with the loud noise of miners, banging metal, and trains moving all the time, music was still alive on the streets. Since the church was the heart of the town, music was everywhere. Welsh singers and church songs filled the air, and this became the first sound little Tom really loved. By the time he was about 5 years old, his voice was already making people notice him. He sang in the church choir where even grown-ups stopped to listen to him sing note after note. Tom's mother, even though she had very little, always found a way to help him. She saved small coins to buy records for him, or bus money so he could sing at local shows. For Tom, standing on a stage was like going into another world. The music lifted him above being poor and struggling, if only for a little while. It showed just how hard things really were. Through it all, Tom saw his parents, working so hard, and music let him dream about making things better for them. To get better at singing, he listened to the BBC and heard American blues and rhythm and blues. The voices of Mahalia Jackson, Little Richard, and Elvis Presley helped open his mind to what was possible. Their music felt like a promise of a bigger, brighter world. He listened carefully, copying their style bit by bit, and slowly built a voice of his own. At the age of 12, Tom's world changed again. In 1952, he got very sick with tuberculosis. Back then, it was a scary illness, especially in working-class towns like his. Tom had to stay away from everyone for 2 years. He was shut away in a small room in his house, unable to go to school, play outside, or hug his friends. His world got smaller to just 4 walls and a window. Neighbors stayed away from his house, and family members wore masks and gloves when they brought him food. Every day brought coughing fits, fevers, and the fear that he might not make it. From his window, Tom watched life go on without him. He saw his friends playing soccer and heard their laughter, but he could not join them. It felt like being locked up in his own home, but being alone let him work on his singing skills. His parents bought him a record player, and he spent many hours listening to American rock and church music. He sang along, and this was where his voice really grew strong. During Tom's lonely time, there was a Linda Trenchard, a girl who would often walk by his house, and seeing him by the window, always waved to him with a smile on her face. And soon the two became good friends, sending notes to each other through friends or family. As for Tom's school, learning was not easy for him. He had trouble with dyslexia, though at the time no one knew what it was. Reading and writing were very hard for him. Teachers often thought he was lazy, and he felt frustrated and lost. By the time he was 16, he had lost all interest in school. He later said he cared more about drinking and girls than books or tests, so at 16, he quit school without finishing. Shocking, right? Not to those who knew him, this was no surprise. Tom was already wild at heart and loved the nightlife. After quitting school, Tom worked any job he could find. He carried bricks at building places and went door to door selling vacuum cleaners. As you can already guess, these were tough jobs, and they were slowly making a man out of the teenager. In March of 1957, 16-year-old Tom married his childhood girlfriend, Linda Trenchard. Linda was going to have a baby, and in those days that meant getting married no matter what. Their son Mark was born only a month later. Suddenly, Tom wasn't just another teenager, but a father trying to support a family while most boys his age were still in school. The pressure was huge. Tom had to provide, and he did so any way he could. He worked construction during the day and shifts at a glove factory, earning only £2 a week. He also worked at a paper mill and kept up his door-to-door sales jobs. But at night he truly came alive. He sang in pubs and working men's clubs. These shows helped put food on the table, but more than that, they fed his soul. The smoky rooms and loud crowds gave him a stage and a taste of the life he wanted. In 1963, things began to change. He became the lead singer of a band called Tommy Scott and the Senators. Their old singer had disappeared, and Tom stepped in. The band lit up the South Wales club scene. Tom's powerful voice and wild energy made every show amazing. He would jump from the stage, get the crowd excited, and pour his heart into every song. They became local legends. But breaking into London was not easy. One night, Gordon Mills, a manager from London who was also from South Wales, came to the club. The moment he heard Tom's voice, he knew he had found something special. Mills made a deal with Tom's managers at the time, Godfrey and Glastonbury. They agreed to give up their rights in return for 5% of Tom's future money. This deal would later cause serious court fights. Mills moved Tom to London and gave him a new name, Tom Jones. The name came from the 1963 movie, and it helped him appeal to both British and fans around the world. This was not just about changing a name, it was the start of a new life. But Tom's first big step into music almost ended badly. In late 1964, his first single, Chills and Fever, came out. It completely failed. The song had energy and Tom's voice was strong, but it did not catch on. No one bought it, and it did not make the charts at all. The failure hit hard. Tom was broke and his wife Linda had to work in a factory to make ends meet. Tom was close to giving up. He felt lost and beaten down. But Gordon Mills was not ready to quit. He got Tom to record a demo of a new song, It's Not Unusual. The song had first been meant for Sandy Shaw, but Tom begged for the chance to record it himself, and Mills agreed. This was their last hope. It's Not Unusual came out in February of 1965, and you won't believe how quickly it shot to the top of the charts. By the 13th of March that same year, it had reached number 1 on the UK charts. In the US, it rose to number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100. Everything about that song, carried by Tom's powerful voice, caught everyone's attention. This wasn't just another popular song. This was the turning point that made Tom a star. Soon he was appearing on shows like The Ed Sullivan Show. His life changed almost overnight. One song had turned a struggling singer into a household name. That same year, Tom's voice also became connected to the world of movies. In 1965, he sang 2 major movie theme songs. The first was What's New, Pussycat, which showed off his playful side and reached number 11 on the United States charts. The second movie song was the James Bond theme. At first, the movie makers had planned to use a song called Mr. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, but they changed their minds. They wanted a song with the movie's title. Tom was brought in, and when he sang the final note, he held it so long and with such power that he fainted. Thunderball became his third American top 40 hit. Its strong and dramatic style made it one of the best Bond themes ever. These songs forever linked his name to 1960s Hollywood and its glamour. By the end of 1965, Tom had done the impossible. He was one of the most famous voices of the British invasion. In Las Vegas, he started at the Flamingo and quickly became the face of the Strip's sparkling nightlife. By the late 1960s, his shows were so packed that people lined up for hours just to see him. He was earning $100,000 each week, which would be close to $1 million per week today. His shows were wild, with women throwing underwear on stage. On stage in Vegas, he met stars like Elvis Presley and Frank Sinatra, both of whom looked up to him. Tom proved that a working-class boy from Wales could win over the entertainment capital of the world. His run in Las Vegas lasted until 2011, an incredible 44 years. During this time, he sold more than 100 million records. His concerts became famous not just for the music, but also for the wild scenes of women tossing underwear onto the stage, a sign of how much he thrilled audiences. By 1969, he was ready for television. His variety show, This Is Tom Jones, ran for 65 episodes until 1971. It was a hit in both America and Britain. The show even earned him a Golden Globe nomination and featured amazing duets with stars like Janis Joplin, Aretha Franklin, Stevie Wonder, and Ella Fitzgerald. These were not just ordinary television performances. They were special moments that brought together different styles and generations. The show became a must-see. Mixing music, comedy, and star power, it turned Tom into a global star far beyond the concert stage. While he wowed audiences, Tom was also building a business kingdom. He put money into airlines, slot machine companies, and real estate. His smart investments made sure that he stayed wealthy long after the cheers faded. By 2025, Tom's fortune had reached around $300 million. His Las Vegas shows alone earned him about $25 million. With the help of his son and manager Mark Woodward, he kept building his wealth. Tom showed that a performer could also be a smart businessman. But behind the glitter, scandals piled up. At the height of his fame, Tom admitted to sleeping with about 250 groupies a year, which was nearly 5 different women every week. His wife, Linda, whom he had married at 16, suffered deeply. The endless headlines and gossip broke her spirit. She became sad and pulled away from the world. Tom himself later said his behavior had hurt her and destroyed her happiness. One affair in 1973 had shocking results. Tom had a fling with Marjorie Wallace, the first American Miss World. Photos of them kissing on a beach cost her the crown. She lost her title, her engagement to Peter Revson, and nearly her life. The scandal drove her to a breakdown and an overdose that sent her to the hospital. There were other dark moments. Cassandra Peterson, who later became famous as Alvivara, said that losing her virginity to Tom was a nightmare. She was 17 and the experience was so painful she needed medical stitches. She later said she wished she had waited for Elvis instead. Tom also had affairs with famous women such as Mary Wilson of the Supremes and presenter Charlotte Laws. His romance with Wilson was especially scandalous at a time when relationships between different races were still frowned upon in many places. Wilson even lived with him during tours. Through it all, Linda suffered. She became a person who hid away in their Los Angeles mansion, avoiding public life and rarely leaving home. The woman who had once been his biggest supporter was left broken by betrayal and the glare of the spotlight, while Tom remained beloved by millions. But the damage to those closest to him could never be undone. In October of 1987, Tom was still riding high on his fame when he began a United States tour that would change his life forever. While in New York City, he met a 24-year-old aspiring model named Catherine Berkery at a nightclub. What began as a chance meeting quickly became a wild 3-night affair at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. Tom was still married to Linda, but his reputation as a womanizer was no longer a secret. 3 months later, Catherine discovered she was pregnant. When she reached out to Tom's team, she got a cold reply. "That's showbiz, darling. Do what you have to do." On June the 27th of 1988, she gave birth to a boy named Jonathan. The child's existence became a scandal that haunted Tom for decades. He refused to admit he was the father. Catherine was forced to go to court in 1989. The legal fight was messy and public. Tom's lawyers attacked Catherine's character and tried to paint her as a gold digger. The court ordered a DNA test. It showed with nearly 100% certainty that Tom was Jonathan's father. The judge ruled in Catherine's favor, asking Tom to pay child support. The deal also included covering private school tuition at the cost of the most expensive Ivy League schools. But while the money came, the fatherly love did not. Tom kept his distance. He did not accept Jonathan publicly as his son for almost 2 decades. When he finally admitted the truth, he called it something he had not planned and blamed Catherine for seducing him. Tom stayed away. He did not visit Jonathan, avoided court hearings, and had no personal contact. In interviews, he would say he had only one child, Mark, the son he shared with Linda. The story of Tom Jones and his son Jonathan became one of Hollywood's most shocking scandals, a sad tale of fame, denial, and rejection. But Tom had made his stance known from the very start. Career-wise, Tom was flying. His biggest success came with the album Reload. It was his 34th album and featured 15 duets with stars like Van Morrison, Robbie Williams, the Stereophonics, and Saris Matthews. The album went to #1 in the UK and sold more than 4 million copies worldwide. Sex Bomb became a huge single, and the album earned multi-platinum awards in the UK, Germany, and Spain. That same year, he was awarded an OBBE. Queen Elizabeth II knighted him at Buckingham Palace. The coal miner's son from Wales stood proudly with his family as he received the honor. He said it was a humbling moment and thanked his fans for standing by him. The knighthood placed him alongside legends like Paul McCartney and Elton John. Soon Tom became a judge on The Voice UK. At 71, he joined younger stars on the panel and quickly won over a new generation. His kindness, humor, and deep knowledge of music made him a favorite with both viewers and contestants. Even when he was briefly dropped from the show, he returned, proving his lasting appeal. However, Tom's world fell apart in April of 2016. That was when Linda, his wife of 59 years, was told she had terminal lung cancer. The illness came quickly, and so did the end. Linda died on the 10th of April at Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles. The couple had been together since childhood in Wales. Tom was on tour when he heard the news, and he canceled all his shows across Asia and the Middle East to be by her side. Her decline was shockingly fast. Tom later said the loss was so deep, he could not see a way forward. Their love story, which had lasted nearly 6 decades, had sadly ended. In her final week, Linda showed amazing strength. Even while she suffered, she thought only of Tom. She made him promise not to fall apart after she was gone, saying, "You can't fall with me." Linda told him he had to keep going and find a purpose beyond her death. Tom said Linda was the calmest person in the room. While he and their son Mark could barely hold themselves together, but Linda's words stayed with him. That promise became his anchor. They inspired him to record a song called "I Won't Crumble With You If You Fall." Still, the grief was crushing. Tom admitted he sometimes did not know if he could survive it. He spoke of days when he could not get out of bed, of dreams of Linda, followed by the painful truth that she was gone. Mark urged him to seek help, and a therapist warned him, "If you don't carry on, you will die." That stark advice pushed Tom forward. He realized stopping would mean the end. Singing became the only thing keeping him alive. And the therapy sessions. Tom later said that without that help, he might not have found the strength to keep his promise to Linda. He added that he could not stay in the Los Angeles mansion they had shared. They had bought it in 1998, so it was filled with memories. Linda's favorite animals, her personal touches. He could not live surrounded by reminders of her absence. Linda had always wanted to return to the UK, so Tom sold the house, furniture, and all and moved back to London. Still, Tom's health has suffered too. In 2017 and again in 2022, he had hip replacement surgeries after decades of performing had taken a toll on his body. He now uses canes and often performs seated. In 2022, during a concert in Budapest, he collapsed and had to cancel some shows. The pain has been severe, but he refuses to retire. He has said, "Time off would be death for me. The only time I'll take off is when I die." In 2023, at the age of 85, he performed more than 50 shows. On stage, he feels alive. He toured the US, UK, and Europe in the summer of 2025. He also released a new album, Surrounded by Time, which included 2 new tracks and live performances. Presently, he is now living with Priscilla Presley overseas. In June, he released a special birthday concert performance on YouTube to celebrate his 85th birthday. Clearly, Tom Jones is staying true to his words and his promise to his wife, an artist of renown, yet still deeply human. Sir Tom Jones, not bad for the son of a coal miner and a factory worker.